going to look here at how we can use the cosine rule as a way of working out the length of a side in a triangle, non-right angled triangle, and the size of an angle in a non-right angled triangle. Let's look at the side one first of all, the first example. The reason we can use the cosine rule in this particular example is because we've got a situation where we know an angle and we know two sides that go around the outside of that angle. So we call this the included angle, the angle that's between these two sides. If I then want to work out the side opposite, I'll be able to do that using the cosine rule. Another reason that you would maybe know that it was going to be cosine rule rather than sine rule is because you can't use the sine rule. With the sine rule, you need to have an angle and a side that are opposite each other, you know both of them, and we don't have that situation within this diagram. So we use the cosine rule here, which I've written down at the top there. And the way that the letters work within this formula is the letters A, lowercase a and uppercase a, denote an angle and a side that are opposite to each other. So if I'm trying to work out this side here, then the angle I need to be using is the angle that's right opposite that side. So let's fill in the detail here. The side that I'm using is actually not an A, it's an X. So I'll write that down in my formula. And then the B and the C refer to the two sides other than the side that I'm trying to find. In this case, that's the 3 and the 4. So I'm going to do 3 squared plus 4 squared minus 2 multiplied to B, which we said was 3, multiplied to C, which we said was 4, and then multiplied to cos of A. And remember we said that the angle A needs to be the angle that's opposite the side we're trying to find. We're trying to find this side here, so the opposite angle is 80 degrees. We can put that into our calculator now, and we should get 20.83. It'll be an irrational number, so it'll carry on much further than that. Last thing we need to remember to do is, this is working out x squared, so we need to square root this to work out x. So x is equal to the square root of 20.83. On our calculator, we should be trying to use the maximum accuracy we can, so copy and paste this accurate number on your calculator into the square root sign. That comes out as being 4.56426, and it carries on going. We must always round the lengths of sides to 3 significant figures, so that means looking at the first 3 figures, if the digit afterwards is a 5 or more, we round up. In this case it's not, so we leave it the same, so it's going to be 4.56. Normally we'd write our units at the end, but in this example I haven't provided any units, so that's our final answer there. If we look at the example at the bottom, we can see another situation when cosine rule can be used. We've got 3 sides being given here and an unknown angle. So if you ever have 3 sides, non-right angled triangle, then we'll be able to use the cosine rule to work out the missing angle here. And again, it's a situation where sine rule can't be used because we don't have that side angle pairing that we need. So this is the form of the cosine rule required to work out a missing angle, just a rearrangement of this formula, changing it so that cos A becomes the subject of the formula. And again, we just need to make sure that when we use it, we substitute carefully into this formula. So it's important that this number here, the A, is the side that's opposite the angle that we're trying to find. Remember that if we have the same letter being used, then it means that they're opposite pairs. So in this case, the value I'm subtracting is going to be the 2 that I'll be squaring. That will be my A value. So cos A equals the B and the C, the 3 and the 4 doesn't really matter which way around they go, so let's just do 3 squared plus 4 squared minus 2 squared. That's the important one. It must be the opposite side, divided by 2 times B, which we said was 3, times C, which we said was 4. So again, those 2 must be the sides that are not opposite the angle. It must be the other 2. We can then calculate that, and it comes out, if we simplify it, as 21 over 24. That's what cos A is equal to. My goal is to work out what A is equal to, which means doing inverse cos to the minus 1 of 21 over 24. I can put that into my calculator. It comes out as being 28.955, and again it carries on going. With angles, this is an angle I'm working out, I should be rounding to 1 decimal place. So that's my 1 decimal place there. I look at the next digit along. That tells me that I need to round up. So what's going to happen is that 9 is going to round up to a 10. The 1 will carry over, and therefore it's going to give me 29.0 to 1 decimal place. And if I'm doing it to 1 decimal place, I must write that 0. I can't just write 29. It needs to be 29.0. Because it's an angle, it's in degrees. And that's my final answer.